What is going on, guys? It is Tom and welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new episode of my F1 2017 career mode, and we're here for round number 10 of the season, pretty much the halfway point for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, my home race. But if you guys did miss the incredible episode last time out in Austria, then I do urge you to go check it out in the card annotation in the top right hand corner of your screen, also in the link down below in the description. But last time out in Austria, we had an absolutely incredible race, so much fun and so much action throughout the entire Grand Prix, and a really good result to sort of cap things off and bounce back from a terrible Baku race. But here in Silverstone, a track that I do always want to perform in, my home race. I want to try and always get a good result, and I hope the car performs well around here, because in the last race, if you don't exclude Baku, Canada and Austria, so if you exclude Baku, Canada and Austria have been very good revelations. The car's been incredible in those two specific tracks, and last time in Austria especially, the car really the upgrades really worked well and it really drove well, and straight off the bat here in practice I could notice it straight away. The car was absolutely planted to the road, and I had a really positive feeling going into this race weekend, and the car was basically doing it all for me, and it felt fantastic to have such a good car underneath me, and I felt really positive about the possibility of getting a good result this weekend, or at least in qualifying. But as you can see, just kind of making my way through the practice programs, and so far so good here. Pretty much purple scores on everything except for the qualifying performance test. But the first time in quite a while, I actually can't remember the last time I actually achieved that. So a really good practice session, and maximising the amount of points we could possibly get, which is really good, and it's going to help us out massively in the R&D development. But overall, that was going to be practice and a very successful session, and we're now going to move into qualifying on the Saturday afternoon. And this was an interesting one because my best lap was actually the first one I did in qualifying, so we're going to ride on board now for the entirety of the first lap in qualifying here. As you can see, going through the final corner now, trying to maximise the speed as we now go into turn number 1, absolutely flat out now, turn it in, don't be too greedy on the curb, and also minimise the amount you turn the steering wheel to try and scrub the least amount of straight line speed possible as we now go into turn 3, third gear corner, then shifting up to fourth momentarily, then back down to third for turn 4, then getting onto the power through the kink of turn 5 onto the Wellington straight, open up the DRS, and so far it's been a very good and very clean start to the lap as we now go into Brooklands here, 50-metre ball just before down to 5th, and then down and full for the second part of the Brooklands apex, and then into Luffield here, down to 4th gear. I keep it in 4th, you can use 3rd, I prefer 4th, it also gives me better traction on the exit, using all of the track available to me on the exit there, and then flat out through Woodcote, and now into the old turn 1, Cops corner here, absolutely flat out, really good feeling, absolutely satisfying when you hook it all up, and the car feels really good underneath me through there with the setup I've got, and also as we now go flat out through Maggots and then into Beckett's, and then finally through the exit of Beckett's to take a couple of gears down, and then through Chapel flat out on the exit, and then open up the DRS. And so far it's been a very good lap here. We're neck and neck with Max Verstappen through sector 2 as we now go into Stoke corner. I get a little bit wide there, missing my apex slightly, and actually get a little bit too wide there, getting a bit of a scruffy exit, and that's going to cost me about half a tenth or so. But now into the Val chicane here, and then finally club corner, using 4th gear and then maybe shifting early up into 5th to really pick up the traction. And here we go across the line, and the lap is good enough for 3rd place at the time when I crossed the line. And then I went for my second run, and I was actually up on my second run until the Val chicane, where I got it all wrong under braking and missed my apex, and then it set me offline for the remainder of the lap, and eventually I'd actually finished the lap about 2 tenths down. So a very disappointing end to the lap there, and eventually we would end qualifying by finishing in P7, so not too bad. Special home, as you can see on screen there, for this Grand Prix, and so one of my subscribers made it for me, so a massive shout out to Lagzu for making that one on Twitter. But I'll leave his link to his Twitter down below in the description. But other than that, guys, that was a very successful qualifying session there, and we bagged a pretty good P7, beating our teammate Esteban Ocon, which is always the main thing you want to do. Also Vettel getting pole there ahead of Lewis Hamilton, the home favourite, with Ricciardo in P4 just behind Kimi Raikkonen, and Bottas beating Verstappen there. But overall a very interesting top 10 there, but crucially I beat my teammate. But we're now going to move into Sunday for the race for round 10, the British Grand Prix. Okay, so race day at Silverstone, round 10 of the season, my home race, and one that I'm very much looking forward to. Once again, a very good qualifying performance yesterday, and the car felt absolutely hooked up, and a really good result, getting best of the rest around here, behind the three big teams, and the car really felt on the pace around here. The upgrades that we introduced in Austria, really working a treat around said Austria track, and also this race here, and the car just was absolutely incredible. Hopefully, I'm going to try and purchase an upgrade after this race, and bring another aero one for the next race in Hungary. But as you can see, in regards to this race, you can already see it's wet, and we got intermediate conditions expected throughout pretty much the entirety of the race. There is a possibility that it will dry up towards the end, so based off of that, I'm going to just reduce the fuel a little bit and try and be a bit more aggressive. Also, I'm going to expect it to get drier later than what it is on screen there, and only be on the dryers for a couple of laps at the end. So this is going to be a majority wet race in the intermediate conditions. But P7 on the grid, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can have a good little race here and have a little bit of fun, and hopefully the wet conditions can provide us an opportunity to crack into the top 6. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the race for the British Grand Prix. Right. Here we go then, 5 red lights for Silverstone, round 10 of the season, and it's going to be lights out and away we go here, and it's a pretty good launch off the line here, getting the better of Max Verstappen as we try to get alongside the Dutchman. Here into turn 1, we've got to be very careful with the AI as we take a wide line, running it very wide off the track actually, less grip than I anticipated, but we've managed to hold on to our position here, and can I get past Verstappen on the brakes here? We're going to go side by side with the Dutchman. He's going to be on my outside, and I'm just going to try and out-traction him, and I have done it, and I've made the move, and we're up at the P6, so a very good start to this race. Conditions are very tricky right now, right on the knife edge. There doesn't seem to be much spray on track, so I do wonder if maybe the dry tyre would have been the better tyre to start on, because there's barely any rain on track right now, which is very odd, but still, we're up into P6. We've got past Bottas, and now we've got to try and focus on what's ahead of us, and hopefully we've got some pace in these conditions here. I don't know if there seems to be a glitch or something, but I genuinely don't feel like the track's for intermediates right now. It feels like I could be on dries, and I've got absolutely no pace around here. I don't know what it is. I've got complete and utter understeer and oversteer at every single corner, and the AI just walking away from me. I'm starting to find my rhythm now a little bit, but I mean, I'm like 3-4 seconds off the pace around here. Okay, the track's starting to come to me now. I've started to find a little bit of pace as we go almost 2 seconds faster than our previous personal best. And I'm just starting to stretch out a gap to the cars behind, and Verstappen's just starting to drop off slightly. So we're starting to find a little bit of rhythm around here now. Okay, so 10 more minutes of rain. That's actually earlier than I actually expected at the start. So this should be pretty good for us, because it's going to mean we should be able to get straight to the dry tyres and not have to stop for another set of intermediate. So at least that's what I'm trying to do. My pace is pretty consistent now. I've found a bit of the rhythm, and I've sort of stretched out the pack behind me. It's basically me and Verstappen here in this mid pack, as I've actually pulled away from Ocon quite a bit now. So right now we're just going to be waiting for the dry conditions, to be honest. We've got some good pace, and there we go. Just confirmation once again from Jeff that the rain is 10 minutes away. So it should be a pretty interesting period, this. I think the AI, what's going to open this up for me is if the AI come in for another stop for inters, and if so, I need to be closer to the guys up ahead, so that if they come in for another stop, I can still be out ahead of them, or at least in the mix of them, because right now they're putting out a big advantage over me, and I don't want them to be a whole pit stop ahead once the inters come around. So right now it's 9.3, so we're comfortably within a pit stop distance, as this pit lane is one of the longer ones, and you really don't want to come into the pit lane unless you really have to around here. So let's keep going. Now, we found a bit of the mojo around here and a little bit of the rhythm, so let's just try and keep it going for as long as we can. My pace is dropping off quite a bit from the leaders. I just think I could probably risk it onto dry tyres. I just don't know what to do now, because I'm very tempted. The rain is like hardly coming down, and the conditions have been the same all race. It's never at one point been optimal for intermediates. It's always been sort of in between dries and inters, leaning more towards the intermediate, but I feel like I could switch over to these dryers pretty soon and try and make a bit of an undercut. As you can see, my tyres are going off there because I'm burning them up, because the track is just not wet enough. So it's a very weird, strange situation right now, and I don't know how to respond to it. I've got to say that I've never seen on a Co-Masters game this sort of weather where it's just so weird. Like, the whole race has been not that wet, and sort of in between wets and dries the entire race. This is definitely one of the new weather systems they've implemented, because I've never before seen this, and it's actually such a challenge to drive in, and it's just really unique. At the moment I'm about 16 seconds 17 seconds behind Bottas, and that's still within a pit stop, but the possibilities of possibly winning this race again, the podium, are looking very slim now, and the AI is still not pitting for another set of inters. Now I'm starting to worry that I may be chewing my tyres up faster than the AI, because look at that, I'm nearing 60% on my front left, so it's not ideal. And right, on the radio, back to dry soon, Jeff said, so we're getting there. I am thinking this might be the lap, if not the next. I'm waiting for the DRS to become enabled, and that's when I'll know, but I want to sort of roll the dice before that and try and get ahead of the queue here, but it's just so tricky to call it. Okay, the rain has pretty much stopped now, so we're running on a drying track, but this drying track situation is taking forever to sort itself out, but it's getting increasingly there, and I did say either this lap or the next, and it's looking like this one is looking like the one, because the rain has officially stopped here, and it's just a rolling of the dice. Do I go for it or do I not go for it? I think this is the lap though, surely I got to go for it now. Vettel's doing 1 minute 42.5, I mean, that is a ridiculous lap time. Meanwhile, I'm getting offered a strategy change, so we're going to basically use that as a reference to come in. I think the top 5 have stayed out, so I'm going to come in now for dry tyres. So here we go, we're going to pull over to the right hand side. Verstappen's going to stay out for one more. I'm going to come in now. I'm going to roll the dice, because why not? I'm not going to really gain or lose that much. We've got a few AI in the pits in front of me. I beg that they go into another set of inters. That's my only hope, that they go into another set of inters if I want to get anything out of this race. So let's see what they do. But right now, it's looking like Ricciardo has gone on to another set of intermediates, which is very interesting. So the AI not being able to make their tyres last. So here we go. We're underway. I'm waiting to go, and there we go. Right, let's go, let's get underway, let's see what these conditions are like. All the AI are coming in for another set of intermediates. I'm rolling the dice and going onto these soft compound tyres, so this is going to be make or break for this race, and I hope it's the latter and not the former. So here we go, let's exit the pit lane now. Let's not do what we did in season 1 and not lose a bit of a front wing. Let's try and have a good exit here, and let's see what the track conditions are like, and let's see if we made the right call here. But I feel like we might have. I mean, the track is like, it's so greasy, like I can feel the back end stepping out at me right now. We've got Hulkenberg right behind me on inters, so that'd be a good reference for us. But right now, the track on dry feels no different to how it was on wet. If not, the track feels slightly better on these actually than the intermediate. So I think we've made the right call at the moment. Honestly, can't describe it. The track is 50-50 at the moment. It's literally, the pace is exactly the same as I was doing on the inters. Hulkenberg's not faster than me, but I'm not faster than him right now. So I think we've called it right, because now the track's only going to come towards me, but it's coming towards me very slowly here. But I definitely think now we're on the right tyre, so now we've got to try and use the tyre to our advantage here. I think we've got Verstappen, who's just exited the pit lane on Inter, so that's the sort of pace he had on intermediates there. But now we'll see if the track comes towards me and if I can catch him or not. Right, DRS enabled, that's normally the telltale sign, so my wish of the AI stopping for another set of inters has come true. Now I've got to basically just floor it and see what my pace is like. So let's get a move on here. Right, all the AI are back in, and there's going to be a bit of traffic in the pit lane. Everyone's in for dry compound tyres here. So let's see if the strategy gamble's worked out. We've timed it pretty much to perfection with the switchover, and now we've got to see if we've managed to benefit from it at all. Obviously, we've got Verstappen in the pit lane. We've got a couple of cars here in the form of Ricciardo. I'm going to guess that's Bottas. And there we go, we're into P4 on soft compound tyres. So that's the best we're going to get this race, I think. So now it's a question of trying to hold on to our position and defend, because the track is still not ideal for these tyres, but it's definitely better than what it was a couple of laps ago. But now we've got to try and defend our position. Right, fastest lap of the race. Obviously, we can't read into it too much, but that's going to get absolutely smashed this lap. However, we are still in P4. Bottas is catching me as you'd expect. However, Ricciardo, who was with Bottas, has issues with his car, so he won't be catching me anytime soon. So it's going to be a battle for P4 here, defending from Valtteri Bottas this race. That's going to be the task now for the remainder of this Grand Prix. So let's see if we can try and keep the silver arrow behind us for the remainder of this race. Okay, Bottas is pretty close to me this lap. I'm going to have to dip into the rich mixture to try and defend from Valtteri here. And I think we should be okay for him to stay behind me for now. But he's looking racy. He's going to pass me whenever he possibly can. Meanwhile, Vettel's setting 1 minute 36s, which is lap times that I cannot match. And yeah, it's now going to be a fight to the finish here for P4. So far, so good. Bottas staying behind me. I'm using the rich mix only on the hanger straight. And the lap times are basically constantly dropping, which is a very good sign, because it means I've still got tyres left, and also it's basically even Stevens in equal conditions for myself and Bottas there. The lap time's dropping by about a second a lap still, so things are going to change drastically in this race in terms of race pace at the moment, and there's still a long way left, but still we're doing a good job of keeping Valtteri behind. I can actually muster up a purple first sector every lap and be the fastest through here. It's just the middle and the final where I lose my time, especially in the final, but still good pace, and Bottas still not going for the dive. It definitely feels like now finally the track has completely dried out. Slightly damp in some corners, but overall it feels like a completely dry track now, and we're pretty much getting to the full dry conditions where Bottas is then going to be very quick, but luckily I've got about a lap of extra fuel saved up, which I'm going to use in probably the last 3 laps of the race. So just need to try and survive 1 or 2 more laps in standard, and then I can use the rich mix until the end and try and give me a couple of tenths per lap and try and defend from Bottas here. But also I'm noticing Ricciardo seems to be reapproaching us on the minimap there. That's a Red Bull that's coming, but meanwhile Bottas now is making the move here. We want to give him a good old squeeze to the inside. Let's see what we can do. Can we go around the outside of the silver arrow here? Personal best first sector still, so the pace is still good, but Bottas looking for the move on the outside. He switches back underneath me, to be fair. Nice little move from Bottas there. I lose the back end, and we're going to have to dip into the reserves here to try and defend our position here, because I want this 4th place. So let's try and compromise Bottas's line through turn 1, or sorry, the old turn 1 at Cobbs. We're going to get a much better exit out of there using the switchback maneuver, and there we go, we stay ahead of Bottas. And you know what, I'm going to keep it in rich mix now, and I'm going to use up everything I have left in this car from now until the rich mix runs out, because why not? Let's just use it. Let's try and stretch Bottas. If he wants to play, we can play. There's no issues here. So the gloves are off. Let's just give it a good old goal and try and bring this home in P4 here. So let's try and have a good end to this race. Oh, we've got a yellow flag here at the final corner. Something's happened, and someone's backwards. I've just completely ruined my line through there, but someone's gone backwards. I'd be surprised if it's Hamilton. It looked like a Sauber, it looked like blue from what I could see, but it might be Hamilton. And yeah, it's not Hamilton, it's the backmark who's had an issue. But personal best there, good lap times, and we're looking pretty good at the moment. We've got a Red Bull now joining in on the fight, and I believe it's Daniel Ricciardo who did have issues, but I think he's now got on top of them. So it's going to be a straight fight to the finish here, and we could either finish this race in P4 or down in P6. So there's a lot of points on offer here that we need to try and make the most of. So here comes Bottas. He's going to have DRS. I'm still in rich mix here, but the Mercedes is too fast. I'm going to squeeze to the inside slightly. Can I go around the outside of Valtteri here? He's still on my inside here. Side by side action. Alonso out of the British Grand Prix here. Let's get ahead of Bottas in case if a VSC gets called out. We're going to run it on the inside line. Bottas trying to go around the outside here. Great action. Now we're only a couple of laps left to go in this Grand Prix. I'm going to just about manage to outpower him here. And instead, I think the Red Bull is going for a move on Valtteri into Cops here. And I'm just going to watch this happen. Look at this. Ricciardo has come alive in this race now. What is happening? This is going to be a hectic final few laps of this Grand Prix. So let's see how this will unfold. We're going to go into a yellow flag zone here. And we should be okay for now, as these two are going side by side. Ricciardo will have DRS on me, but he's not going to be close enough. I have enough rich mix to probably go to the end if I'm lucky. I'm going to have to use standard at some point. But for now, I think we're okay in this current engine mode. Right, on to the Wellington Strat, lap 25 now. 2 laps to go, 1.5 pretty much. And Ricciardo, the good thing about him being behind me instead of Bottas is that his straight line speed in DRS isn't as high as Valtteri. So it's not going to be as easy for him to make the move, especially while I'm still in rich mix. So this is doing me a massive favour. I've just got to try and survive through the corners. And right now, I think we might just have enough to get this to the end on rich mix. It's going to be very marginal, but I think we can do it. So let's try and keep it going here and try and use the Sauber in front as a possible DRS detection point to try and gain a bit of time here. But Ricciardo and Bottas are both looking very racy at the moment, and we've got to try and be absolutely perfect through every single corner here. And that was a very nice run through Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel. Currently up half a second on my personal best once again, and the pace is brilliant here. As you can see, we're pulling away from Ricciardo a little bit, and then he starts to catch me towards the end of the straight, but he can't get close enough to me as we now get up to the back of Verlaine, and we're going to have to negotiate with him this last lap here. So let's see what he does, and hopefully he doesn't get in the way, because this is a big battle now, and there's a lot of points at stake here. So Verlaine, please move. Right, I managed to stay in standards for the first part of the lap. I've just gone back up into rich mix because I reckon I can get it to the end on this now. It's going to be me versus Ricciardo. Bottas is right there. He's going to try and go up the inside of Ricciardo into Maggotts and Beckett's. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to try and pull away. Yellow flag behind, and I think there's been contact between the two of them, and one of them's gone for a spin. I think it's Daniel Ricciardo who's gone for a little bit of an issue here. Meanwhile, we've got a big gap to Bottas here, and I think I should be okay to bring it home in standard mix, and it's looking like a P4 if I make no mistakes through this final section now Ricciardo having a big issue there with Bottas, a little bit of an altercation there. And here we go into the final chicane for the final time this race. And it's going to be an absolutely brilliant 4th place in the British Grand Prix, just missing out on the podium, but I'm very happy with that, and that's a fantastic result in front of my home fans, and one that I'm very, very proud of, and a race that the strategy just worked out absolutely beautifully to absolute perfection, and that was a very, very good race, and some well-deserved 12 points for the championship. And right now, if you exclude Baku, we're in the form of our life at the moment on 110% AI, and the upgrades are finally starting to take effect, and the car is improving nicely every single race, bit by bit, and it's great to see. As you can see there, Sebastian Vettel wins at the British Grand Prix, and I'm sure the fans will be not that happy to see that sight. Hamilton gets on the podium in 3rd place there, with Kimi Raikkonen in 2nd, so a 1-2 for the Scuderia, but overall a very good race, and we bring it home in P4. Max Verstappen there only managing P8 in the Red Bull car, so he'll be disappointed with that one, but a great result, 4th place, and a well-deserved 12 points, but that was the British Grand Prix. We're now going to move into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings, to see how things shape up after that chaotic British Grand Prix. And as you can see, looking at the final race results, Vettel wins ahead of Kimi Raikkonen in a Ferrari 1-2, with Lewis Hamilton rounding up the podium. And I bring my car home in a brilliant P4 there, with Bottas just behind me and Ricciardo going for that spin right at the end, with Nico Hülkenberg in a very good P7 there for Renault, and Max Verstappen only managing P8 there for Red Bull. Then Esteban Ocon, my teammate, in P9, and Lance Stroll rounding out the point scoring positions. And then in terms of the lower half of the table, Alonso, the only DNF in that race, and then the usual suspects, along with Carlos Sainz, getting lapped. But looking at the driver's stand, you can see that I'm in P7. Ocon drops down to P10, getting overtaken by Nico Hülkenberg there. So not ideal for him. Also, we're actually gaining a few points from Ricciardo here because of our recent form, so that's not too shabby there. Raikkonen 45 points clear of Sebastian Vettel, and will he be on for another World Drivers' Championship? The aging Finn, who's now nearly 39 years of age. But as you can see there, looking now at the constructors, we're going to comfortably hold 4th place ahead of Williams, and we've almost got double the points now of the Williams team. But other than that, that was Silverstone. We're now going to move into the laptop to see if we have enough resource points to make an upgrade for the next race in Hungary.
Hey, quick question. How are you here? Are you happy? I mean, obviously, I hope so, but you do have some other options if you're up for a new challenge. Let me just grab the door. I had a call from another team a few weeks ago. And, well, things have moved on since then. These are the offers I've managed to put together for you. You don't have to do anything with them, but let me know what you think.
Right, so we've got contract offers, but they're not what I'm looking for. If Mercedes had come calling, I would have really considered it, but the fact is, we don't really have any really good offers. I wouldn't mind going to Renault. That's a team that I do have my eye on for the future, but for now, looking at the team development, I think we're going to stick with Force India. So let's just sign on the deal here and make it official. We've also got a classic challenge that I'm going to jump into, and yeah, I think we're going to go for the pursuit in the Japan short. So we'll jump into that now and see what we can do. Right, here we go then. 5 red lights. The task is simple. You've got to finish in 1st place. So let's try and go for it here. And lights out, and away we go. We're at the back. So let's just floor it now and see what we can do. Let's see if we can try and pass those guys and see what we can do around here. Okay, on the back of the first guy, which is Mikkelsen, we're just going to breeze around the outside of him with the extra downforce of this R26. And now we've got to try and chase down these 2 next cars, which are up ahead, and see if we can make the move on those, which are Sari and Kaufman. Okay, let's try and pick these 2 off then, try and get a good move on them. We're going to get alongside the McLaren, and can we make a move on the Ferrari here? Just squeeze up the inside, a little bit of contact, but no major issues, and we're now behind the McLaren. From what I can tell is the 91 MP46 here, and actually, yeah, we're just going to go right on the outside of him there. Nice easy move, and there we go. We've pulled it off on the last lap, and for once in a long time, we're actually going to win one of the classic car challenges. And there you go, across the line, and we've done it. We've won one for the first time in a while, so not too bad, and a good end to this episode, adding on from the good result last time in Silverstone that we had just now, and the race has gone by. So a very solid episode today, and we smashed the target. But we're now going to jump back into the laptop. Right, so here we are then on the laptop, and we've been moved forward to Hungary, so the upgrade won't arrive for Hungary now, as we are already at Hungary, thanks to the classic event taking place. That's basically forward us on to the next race. But As you can see, we're looking at his upgrades here. Here we're getting into expensive territory now, so we're going to do one of these, and I'm going to go for the rear wing, and that should arrive for Spa. And then we'll do the other one, hopefully for maybe Monza if we're lucky. And then after that, we should pretty much be okay for Aero for the rest of the season. I may do the remaining 2 on each end here just to sort of level it out. But we're going to do these 2, which are going to be a priority of ours. And then we can probably move into the chassis development. But that upgrade here, should give us a nice little boost and hopefully take us above Toro Rosso if we're lucky. So that should arrive for the next race in Spa, as this is Hungary. So other than that, guys, that has been this episode of Career Mode. If you haven't enjoyed it, then smash the like button. Also, if you're new around here, subscribe to my channel, and also check out these videos on screen if you haven't done so already. But other than that, guys, I thank you ever so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.